My husband and I, we liked each other. I had other boyfriends too. You know what I mean? They liked me, I liked them, fine. But we clicked together and we decided that we'll be a night, and we weren't talking even about marriage yet, you know? And I think that being that we liked each other, you know, the feeling, you sort of feel at least you have somebody. I think that was most of my friends, because I had a friend of mine, she passed, and she always said, you know, if it wasn't for the war, we probably would not be married to the same people that we are now.
But he arrived 3 months afterwards, so how did he found you afterwards?
Oh, he knew, because we were already together in 1945, and we knew that we were going to go, so we registered, but I came before him, because it went according to, you know, who was next.
Yeah.
And we met up, and that's how we did. And you know, something else you say, how does a woman alone and whatever? Do you know, I lived in Brooklyn, you're familiar with New York, near Prospect Park. There was they were called the the Jewish Brooklyn Home, something like that it was called. Only for women. I was the only refugee. Everybody was American. And why did I come there? Because after they did bring me, they had to place me somewhere. So the charities, they already appropriated where whoever comes, where will they be living for a while? Get a job, get an education, whatever. But being that my ship was delayed because there was a maritime strike in the United States.
Okay.
So I had to wait 3 months for the boat. So when I came, these people were in Florida. So they had nowhere to put me. So they put me in the Brooklyn Jewish Home for all women. I was the only refugee who didn't know English. I mean, a word here or there. And I still have friends, still today. And from there, you know, I went to work, they gave me a job, they did this, they did that. And finally, again, the charity agencies decided to give me an IQ test, and they thought I should go to school. So I did go to school. I went to a business school in Brooklyn, the Borough Hall Academy. So I learned English and typing and bookkeeping. And people said, why didn't you learn stenography? I said, I don't even know English. How am I going to learn stenography?
True.
You know? And I worked, and I got a job, and I worked as an assistant bookkeeper, and then I finally wound up working for the same agencies that sponsored me.
That's crazy.
It is. It is. For 3.5 years I worked there.
As a way of thanking them for what they did for you?
Always did. We always kept in touch, always. And I stayed there till I was just about to give birth, you know? Yes. And of course we were in business, my husband, we didn't know nothing about anything. People were always nice enough to help us, regardless whether they were Jewish or not. You understand? And like I said, we never ask if somebody needs something, are you Jewish or do you believe? Who cares? You need to help.
You're human.
Exactly. And I think if people would come already to that point to realize that we're all human, maybe there wouldn't be any wars. But
People forget.
It'll take a long time.
And atrocities have always existed, you said yourself.
Exactly. And as I said before, I went back to Auschwitz in 1970 with my husband. We were in France, as a matter of fact. We have family there. It was communist Poland. And my cousin Visha says, why are you going? Never pushczą cię. So
They won't let you out.
Yeah. My husband says, don't worry, we survived the war, they'll let us out. So we went to the Polish consulate in Paris. We got a visa and we went. First we went to Germany by train and then to Warsaw. And we came there to Auschwitz in 1970. It was in the winter. At that time, I also wore high heels like that, And we came in and we walked and walked and walked, and there was a little fire, that they were warming their hand, the guards, in front of the camp. And we walked and walked and we came back, and the man says to me, "Why are you here?" I says, "I was here." He said, "Why didn't you tell us? We would send you by car." Anyway, but I will tell you that this experience in 1970, we literally were sick, my husband and I. 4 days we stayed in a hotel, we did not go out of bed. You understand?
Yeah, because you relieved it, right?
And you know what, when we came the first time to Auschwitz, there were other people, and we went into the barrack, and I say, no, this was in 1985 already, when I took my kids and the grandchildren. And I says, "You see this here? That redhead was walking back and forth." And there were other people there. "Oh, Pani też miała ten redhead." Everybody remembers her.
The redhead, the woman, walking back and forth and singing opera, right?
And hitting. But we were back to Auschwitz already 3 times.
Why? Why so many times? Why do you
Well,
want to recall that?
First
many
in
times?
1970, because we wanted to go back. I told you, from Paris. We decided just to go, and we did. And then we went in 1980-something just to take a trip, because the first trip was like oszołomione, You didn't know if you're coming or going. It was overwhelming. So we went the second time, and our place wasn't there anymore, our house and all that. And the third time, when my husband was actually on his dying bed, he said, "My wish is for my children and grandchildren to go and see what it was." So we went again. And each time you come there, it's different. It's never the same. You understand? Now,
Poland has become a beautiful country, and
it is. It always.
reborn from its.
It always was. But I'm talking even Auschwitz itself. It's now a museum. It's this. It's that. Not when I went the first time.
When you went the first time, what was it? A prison?
It was. You could see still all the valises. It was. Ordinary. It was just into coming, you understand. They had no chance to do any. Yes, they had movies. That's about it. But now when you come, it's a whole different story. You understand? And thank God that it's there, that at least you could come and see that there was an existence. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a trace of it. And that's why I say I'm thankful for Anne Frank. You understand?
Because she made it possible that generation and generations knows about it.
Exactly.
A billion of people.
Exactly. And so that's
So
the
that
story.
people don't forget about Holocaust.
No.
There is negation right now in some Occidental countries. There is a historical negation of Holocaust.
Yes. But I tell you, as I said, the reason it shouldn't be forgotten, not because it happened to Jews, it happened to different nations too. We were all kinds of people there. There were Poles, there were Gypsies, they were from everywhere. And Russians, and Poles suffered the same. But it should be something for the future generations to see, this did not bring any good. Let's not continue. Because you can't bring back the families, you can't bring back what was. But it's the same thing, you see, I put it in that perspective. When a person dies, you cannot bring him back. But if you go to the cemetery and you have a statue that at least that person did exist, and that's why Auschwitz is good, that they do now. You understand? It did exist. It's not like you forget about it and you don't see it, so you forget about it. So maybe it'll do something for the future, because the people will not return unless Messiah
and the
comes.
memories are just staying. And just the memories are staying. But it must be difficult to not even have pictures of your youth when you were
Nothing.
10, 9,
I have
8.
I have a picture of my mother and one end, and we have a picture of...
How did you keep it with you all this time?
No. We had nothing left, no possessions. The reason, I will show you the picture, in fact. When I came to the United States, and there were certain organizations from different towns in Poland that made their own society, because these people came also, underprivileged. So as soon as they knew that the people are coming, the influx of refugees was coming, people were looking who was from this town and that town and the other town. And they found us and they helped, So one time, one lady from Brooklyn says to me, I am going to Israel. Do you have anybody in Israel? I says, offhand, I only remember one of my cousins, a distant cousin, was leaving before the war. But I know his name. That's all I had to say. That woman returned, and she brought me pictures from my aunt, two aunts, and my mother. Let me tell you something. If you would give me $100 million, not one,
100.
it wouldn't be as precious as this was. I could never be thankful enough to that woman, how she went to find somebody who had pictures from before the war.
That's wonderful.
And that's what I have. And my husband's side, they had people in Paris, they came there before the war and all that.
They came before the war.
Yes, not all of them, some of them.
Yeah.
So they have pictures from the family.
They had, memories.
So we have that. That's all we have. Oh, that's it. And as I said, what this did. When I saw the woman bring me the picture, I was numb. You understand? So just to show you that if it wasn't for those memorials that they have, you would never even know that my family existed. You understand?
Well, now we'll make sure that it is known and followed, that your family existed and your story existed.
And that's the reason that I am so willing to do this now, is because myself, I'm saying I'm at the age that I could die tomorrow and I could live to be 100. Who knows? But at least if people ask me to share these things, maybe it'll do something for the future. That's why I'm so willing to do it. Because too much time I don't have. And there are not too many of us who survive. We are a dying breed. Every day someone of us dies who was still alive. So if that's what I could contribute to humanity, I do it.
Thank you, Bronia. It was a very touching history of your life and history of millions of people that lost their lives in those concentration camps. Auschwitz being the worst of it, really. I didn't understand when I was small that so many people told me that Polish people is a sad country, and I was surprised because all what I know from Poland are very happy people, very party people, very enjoyable people. But when I hear this story, the veracity, the atrocity of the story, of this war story, I understand why so many people have this impression that Poland was a world in atrocity.
No, I don't have those experiences. They were not guilty. They were forced to do everything, as I said to you before. And I'm saying it not because you're Polish, you know that by now. No, there were so many people, so many Poles who were in Auschwitz too, and were killed.
Were killed, true.
Right, and all the intellectuals too.
The intellectuals were first killed in Auschwitz. Well, anyways, Bronia, thank you for giving us this time, for reopening your heart and your memories, and for transmitting to the public in general what it was really to be in Auschwitz and during the World War. I have, when I was small, heard so many stories about the war, but a living person from Auschwitz, never. So thank you for this terrible honor, and I hope that many people in the world will be able to hear it, see it, and feel it. And maybe it's a message for future generations. Anyways, it was a terrible honor to interview you.
Now I want to say something. I want to thank you for taking your time, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't say it. So you are part of it, of bringing all this to the story to life. So thank you.